Hey everybody, welcome back to the 80s Slashers YouTube channel. In this video, I will be discussing and reviewing the 1982 slasher flick Girls' Night Out, also known as The Scaremaker. Yeah, so we're going to take a look at we'll talk about the plot of the film, we'll look at the setting, the kills, the nudity. We'll check out this cool Blu-ray from Arrow Video before wrapping it all up with some final thoughts. Now, Girls' Night Out, this is a film, I've seen this film before, but each previous viewing has been of a terrible copy. I don't know, it's like probably like a VHS rip or whatever it was. So, um, yeah, coming into this one, I was hoping that any shortcomings that I had from from those previous experiences would be corrected upon, this brand new Blu-ray presentation from Arrow Video. And I'm glad to report that at least one of the biggest issues I had with this film has kind of been corrected. Now we will talk about, like I said, the Blu-ray itself a little bit later. But one of the big issues I always had with this film was I always had trouble telling apart some of the different characters, mostly the female characters. I just couldn't differentiate them from each other. Um, you know, I think it was due to the fact, again, the poor video quality of those VHS rips that I've always watched. Um, and it's just a lot of this film is dark. It just seemed like all these women, they just kind of all blended together, and at certain moments of the film, I just couldn't tell them apart, and it kind of, I got a little lost at times. Now this viewing, watching this Blu-ray, that it didn't seem to be an issue. Now maybe it's repeated viewings. Um, I'm just more familiar with it. I don't know, but I think the added clarity in this Blu-ray really helped. So yeah, this was a good viewing experience um, for a film that I knew I kind of liked because of certain elements, but I just wasn't really sure how I felt overall as a whole about it. But now I feel like I finally have a solid opinion, and we will discuss that opinion. But before we do, let's just go get right into it, and let's talk about the plot. All right, so yeah, so Girls' Night Out, the the plot of this film, basically we the story starts out at like a hospital, like a mental hospital, like the mental ward. And we see like a patient there who basically commits suicide. We end up we hear we're only spoon fed a little bit of information, but a patient there is found by like a nurse, and they committed suicide. And then we kind of find out that this patient was involved in like a prior murder at a college campus. A young lady was murdered, and we find out that the murderer was the person in the hospital. So it kind of sets up the prior evil of what happened. And then we kind of skip forward to like modern times, which is like I guess 1982. And we're on like a college campus, and we get introduced to like some of the main characters that are at this college campus. And there's talk of, after the big parties, and there's like a basketball game going on, and there's a celebration party, and later that night there is the annual scavenger hunt on campus, which is a big deal. Everyone's all excited about it. They're getting ready for it. So as our little groups of friends and characters are preparing to, go out and have some fun after, like I said, after the basketball game, post celebration, um, then this mystery of the prior evil starts to come into play, and there's a killer on the loose, and they start killing these young men and young women one by one. There's a security campus security, yeah, campus security, like a guard, Hal Holbrook, played by Hal Holbrook, and he's kind of involved in the previous prior murder. It was it was his daughter who was the prior victim. So he gets involved, and people start disappearing, and it's kind of like a cat and mouse game kind of thing, and it plays out how you typically how these play out until we get to the big reveal at the end, which we'll talk about. So yeah, that's pretty much the plot. Pretty straightforward. Has a nice backstory to set up how the rest of the film plays out, and yeah, it kind of follows in a way, it follows the stereotypical 80s slasher formula. So yeah, all right. So first thing I'll say, like I said, this is in many ways your, 100% your stereotypical 80s slasher. But at the same time, it's also different because this film I found really leans on the 80s, like the teen sex comedy formula. Like your Revenge of the Nerds, your Animal House, your Porky's, that style of subgenre. At least the first half of this film is that's what this feels like. It doesn't feel like a horror film. Besides the beginning where where the hospital patient hangs himself and we hear like there was a murder previously. Once we flash forward to like the modern day college campus setting, it really plays like a teen comedy. Um, but it's really fun. They do it really well, and it works for the most part for me. The only thing that I'll say that I didn't enjoy too much was I think there was too much comedy put in for my liking, and most of it didn't land. Maybe back in 1982, it worked, but watching it now, it's yeah, it just the comedy was just kind of cringy. Not a lot of it was funny, just these spitball, goofball side characters trying to be funny, doing stupid hijinks, college hijinks, and just I don't know, it doesn't come off very well nowadays. But maybe it did in '82. I don't know. Yeah, but however, what does land for me, which is also a lot in this film, is the use of like oldies music. There's like a DJ, a radio DJ, who's the film constantly cuts to him playing music, and he's always like it's like an oldie station. And I, if you're watching this film, I really hope you like the band Lovin' Spoonful because they're they're in this film a lot. Maybe too much. There's one song that they play. There's two songs of theirs that they play multiple times, but one they play a lot, like probably like 4 or 5 times, and then the other Lovin' Spoonful song they play I think twice. And there's some other oldies, but it's great. I like that kind of music, and it kind of feels weird with this film, set in '82, and they're playing this older music. But it kind of works at the same time. It's kind of a weird I don't know, it's kind of a weird mix, but like a slasher film but at the same time it's playing as a teen comedy, and then you have this oldies music. Yeah, it's different. I don't know. This is definitely an interesting film. 'Cause like I said, you have like the teen comedy, you have the horror, you have the oldies music, and then you throw in, like I said, like a large part of this film is the scavenger hunt. Um, and it just I don't know. It all makes for, like I said, an interesting film, but it's fun. It's really has just kind of like a light feeling. Up until, like I said, like the last part there when the horror and the slasher elements really kick in. But yeah, it's different. This is it feels I don't know. It's like I said, it's your typical slasher film in some ways, but it feels different if that makes sense. I don't know. Yeah, it's strange. Now, one thing I loved, I briefly touched on it, is I loved how they in terms of like the plot, they slowly like spoon fed the viewer these different plot points, of like the backstory of like the prior evil and how it occurred, how it was related to the current students at the campus and people who may be working there. Um, yeah, I like how they gave that to us throughout the film and paced it really well. They used it through like just dialogue of students talking to each other. There was some stuff on the radio. There was like newspaper clippings that they used. So throughout the film, we just got bits and pieces as the mystery slowly unraveled. And by the time the end of the story came, it kind of it all made sense, and it resulted what I think is a great conclusion. So yeah, I really enjoyed like the plot structure and how it was delivered. Like I said, this isn't like a an Oscar-winning screenplay or anything like that. Like it's a basic story, but I just these films they always have that prior evil that kind of affects is like the motive, the reason why these killings start to happen. And they took that prior evil and they weaved it into the rest of the story really well, I think. It kind of hand delivered it. Some of it was a little forced at times, but I don't know. I just liked how they did it, and just kind of it made for a satisfying conclusion. And yeah, so all that, all the plot and all that stuff leads up to like without a doubt for me at least, the star of this show was the ending of the film. Um, like I said, when you get that build up plot wise, and then when you finally get to the big twist reveal, when that finally happens, they they really kind of take like a left turn with the creepy vibe. Because the first half of this film, like I said, it feels really lighthearted, fun, like a teen comedy, everyone having a good time. But then when you get to the ending, it slowly ramps up, ramps up, ramps up, and then it just goes real creepy. Um, and it's funny, man. Every time, like, even though I know, like watching this this time, I knew exactly how this film plays out. I know the ending, I know the twist, I know the reveal, and even though I knew all that, every time it seems I watch this film, this time included, when it gets to that end conclusion, the hairs on my arms stand up, and man, I just the fact that a film can do that, it's fantastic. The performance of the killer at the end, it just freaks me out. It's just really creepy. I don't know. I think it's just in the delivery of some of the lines and like the facial expressions. It kind of gave me a feeling like when you watch the original Friday the 13th and just kind of like the crazy weird turn in Mrs. Voorhees, how she's all nice and friendly, and then it kind of turns and you see like this psychosis take over someone's mind, and it's almost like a split personality kind of thing. Um, that's kind of in here, and it just I don't know. That's the kind of thing that really creeps me out. Sleepaway Camp did the same thing, kind of like that split personality. Um, I don't know. It's really good, really creepy. And then if the film kind of ends on like a just like a freeze frame of like the final shot, which again, super creepy, and it just fits it just perfectly. So yeah, in terms of plot, I think this is the strong point of the film. Um, you know, it's it's and honestly, that's not really something that happens too often in these sorts of films. And usually it's like, the kills are the highlights. Some films have a ton of nudity, which everyone talks about. Sometimes they have a super cool setting that's like the highlight. But Girls Night Out, it's the plot for me anyway. It's like I said, it's not gonna win any awards for screenwriting, but just the way it was delivered and kind of like slowly drawn out until the a fantastic ending. Yeah, I really enjoyed how this film was structured and delivered. So yeah, that's it for the plot. Let's move on and take a look at the setting. All right, so Girls Night Out. Almost this entire film was filmed at an what like an Ohio college campus, even though apparently it was filmed in New Jersey. So I don't know why they just didn't make it a New Jersey college. I'm not sure why they do that. I'm sure New Jersey and Ohio look pretty similar. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, it occurs at an Ohio college campus, and I'm a sucker for a nice college campus setting. Now, this isn't I wouldn't say this is the best. the best we've ever seen. For an 80s slasher at like a college setting. Final Exam comes to mind. I think Final Exam did a better job of capturing the college experience. But they do a good job. It's like I said, the whole film is basically on campus. There's a few scenes at like the hospital and whatnot, but yeah, the whole film is set here, and I felt like they did a really good job of utilizing this setting. There's like the film almost like one of the first scenes we get after the hospital opening is like a college basketball game. We get like a competitive game, two colleges playing. There's like the cheerleaders, the mascot. There's a bunch of fans, they're cheering, and it just gives that fun college vibe. And then we get like celebrating in like dorm rooms after. We get like the locker rooms. We get like a sorority house party. There's like stuff in like the cafeteria. Like they're just walking around the campus grounds. I think the radio station is kind of like a like a radio or a college radio station, so we get to see some stuff in that. Yeah, they're kind of all over the campus, and it's really fun. I just they do a good job of making you feel like immersing you within that setting. Now, a lot of the film, especially on the second half, takes place at night. The whole second half is at nighttime, and so once the scavenger hunt portion of the film begins, that's when we see more of the outdoor settings, which is filmed really nice. Like it's yeah, I don't know. It's they capture some things I think around the campus setting, I believe. There's things you see like a graveyard. There's people walking in around a graveyard looking for clues. Like just like in the woods nearby, like climbing trees and whatnot. I think there's like inside like a church. You go inside a big church way up to the top of the attic. So you get a few different odd set pieces, but I think they're all kind of surrounded the college campus. So, yeah, I don't know. This setting, it's all right. Like I said, I like the campus setting. Even though I feel like we've seen better representations of that in some of these films. This one's fine. And like when you add in the whole scavenger hunt at night, it just kind of it's fun. It just has a fun setting. You don't really leave that like the college campus. So like I said, it kind of puts you in there and you're immersed in it. You're surrounded by college students, and it just kind of feels, I don't know, it feels like you're there. It's good. And like again, the setting, it feels like a horror film near the end, but at the beginning it really does feel like a teen comedy that's set at a college campus as well. So it's kind of like it's different. It's weird. Yeah, I don't know. So in terms of the setting, I liked it. I think it's fun and pretty enjoyable. Yeah, sorry, let's move on and we'll talk about the kills. Okay, so Girls' Night Out has a total of 4 kills, which is not a great number for one of these films, unfortunately. There is more people who are killed, who die within the film, but we only get like 4 like kill scenes, kill moments that we can talk about and judge and whatever. So with so few in number, obviously the pacing is not going to be great. It takes a while to get going, till we get the first kill. And again, like I said, like the first half of the film is more of like a teen comedy. So yeah, that's what they were going for, I guess. That's fine. Like it's the second half is, so I guess if you break it down in like the second half of the film, 4 kills within the second half, then the pacing is pretty good because they happen pretty good once it starts, but it does take a while to start. When we do get the kills, they're honestly they're pretty weak. They're mostly just blood effects. Some most of them are like off screen, like we don't actually see any really good practical effects. There are a couple of what I call like the after kill effects, like after like you see like the dead body, and so they put some prosthetic makeups and stuff on like to show some um tear marks, like slit throats and that kind of thing. So we get a couple of that, but we don't actually get to see the kill as it occurs. But um, yeah, I'm unfortunately the kills are not the strong point in Girls' Night Out. So that's a little disappointing, I guess. Now the killer itself, you can see here, is wears a mascot outfit. That's like a bear suit, like it's the university, mascot bears, I guess. And what they use, they tape some like big blades to their hand, and then they put their blade in like the end of the outfit, the bear mascot outfit, and that's what they use to make their kills mostly is these bladed hands. This is 2 years prior to Freddy Krueger being on the scene, and it's kind of, I don't know, like it's a bladed hand with knives. So I don't know. So that's kind of cool, and it is a cool weapon. And like the killer is honestly in this outfit is a little silly, walking around in this like goofy looking bear outfit. I think they're kind of going for a comical effect. There were moments where it was kind of just the way it was like filmed and like lighted and like dark hallways. It was a little creepy because you see this like comical looking bear, but um, yeah, it's kind of got a creepy vibe. But I don't know, not really a terrifying killer. Now, once we get to the climax of the film and the killer is out of the costume, and like the reveal has happened, uh, then the killer is like I said is terrifying. The mask is gone, and we get to see exactly who it is and what the motives are. Uh, then the killer is great, but it's really short. It's not too long. One thing I did like while the killer was in this outfit was sometimes when they were making a kill, they had like this really weird voice. Think like Scream, when they had Scream and they were disguising the voice. That was kind of what it was like. It wasn't like a voice box machine, but they found a way to make the voice sound really weird. And they mentioned it how because there was some phone calls made. Yeah, some phone calls made with the same creepy voice. But sometimes when the kills were being like, if the killer was killing a young woman, they would say like in this creepy voice things like they'd be like you little bitch, you deserve this, kind of stuff like that as they were like stabbing them. And it was good, it was really good, it was creepy, and they were just like saying these weird derogatory kind of comments as the girls are screaming and they're getting killed. And it was good, it was a nice touch. It kind of made this, it was kind of like a juxtaposition, like a goofy silly costume but then this creepy voice. So yeah, it was kind of neat. I don't know. So yeah, kills are just all right. Obviously there's not enough. Space pacing wasn't great throughout the whole runtime, but at least through there, there's some blood. It's they're framed pretty good. Some of these kills, they're like where they take place, and yeah, like I said, it's because it's like a comical looking killer character, but then when they're doing these crazy things, it's kind of balances out nicely with the comical and the scariness. I don't know. It's not bad. Not the strong point, but not bad. I've seen much worse. At least there's some bloody effects and some after kill effects. So yeah, not too bad. All right, let's move on and we'll talk about the nudity. All right, so Girls' Night Out has a zero nudity, which is pretty disappointing because especially for a film from 1982, this was almost mandatory at this time. It was, this was one of the things, the young adults were going to the theaters to see. People get killed and women taking their clothes off. It is what it is. That's what was expected. And this film doesn't have any of that. So, and there was plenty of women. There was, like I said, there was a lot of female characters in this film, and yeah, we didn't get to see any of it. So, um, surprising, I guess. The closest we get, there's basically two scenes that we any kind of titillation that is shown. There's like a dancing girl at a party. She's like up on a stage in like a sorority house party, and she's like, the camera lingers on her for maybe a minute or two, and she's dancing and shaking, and it's fine. And then after that, there's like a bathtub scene. One of the main girls is like bathing in a bathtub covered in bubbles. You don't see anything, but again, it's meant, I think, as like a titillation. You kind of the camera lingers for a little bit, but yeah, that's it, unfortunately. So if you're one that really likes to see the nudity in these films, this one will be a disappointment. But again, it's fine. It's not needed. There's other stuff going on. So yeah, that's about it. Not much else to say. So let's move on, and we'll take a look at the Blu-ray. Okay, so yeah, now this Blu-ray, as you can see, obviously was put out by Arrow Video, who are one of the best. They always do a really good job, not only in packaging and special features, but in just like the restoration process. They always do a really good, HD scan or whatnot. Um, Now, obviously, this is like a newly commissioned artwork, which is really cool. This is the artwork that I'm used to. But this isn't on the inside cover. The inside cover artwork we get is this, which is also one I've seen around. So I don't know if this is the original or if that's the original. I don't know. This is one I'm more familiar with. That's what I was hoping for. But this is cool. This is nice artwork. This is awesome actually. You get like the blades, the runny mascara. It's cool. Um, so yeah, clear Blu-ray case, which I always like the clear ones. It's thicker. It's a little thicker. Not not it's not one of those cheap, flimsy little ones. Um, Basically, yeah, you get your disc in here, just the single Blu-ray, and obviously you get the reversible cover art. So if you don't get the slip cover and you like that, you can use that or this. So that's always a nice option to have. And then we get a little booklet, which again is always nice to have. Um, Again, it's just like a pig like cast and crew, and then there's like what's that, like 14, 15 pages of like a written about the film, cast and crew, and yeah, like that's great. Like some pictures, lots of stuff there. It's a cool picture of a VHS cover. There's where it's called the Scare Maker. Pretty cool. And then about like a little thing about the restoration of the film, which is cool. Production credits from Arrow and stuff. So nice. That's always nice to have. And then yeah, you have all your special features listed here. It doesn't have it on the. Oh, it does have it on the back. All right, so let's take a peek here. Basically, what we get on here, like I say, you get a brand new 2K restoration from 35mm vault elements. We'll talk about that in a second. And you get some. The audio is fine. You get a brand new audio commentary track. Justin Kurzweil, he's one of the guys from Hysteria Continues podcast. And then you basically get 5 different interviews with cast and crew. They range in length 10, 15, 20 minutes. So there's some good extra content on here. And then you get the regular, like your trailers and stuff like that. Alternate scare maker, alternate title card to see. Yeah, so a pretty solid package, I'd say, of extra features. Now, video quality. The first thing when you pop this in, the first thing that pops up is a warning from, or like a disclaimer, I guess, from Arrow Video, basically saying that they couldn't find all of the 35mm film elements. There was portions of the film that they just, for whatever reason, they didn't have them. So they had to use standard definition transfer for those parts of the films to scan and restore. So they're just saying, there might be elements that aren't all evenly matching. I couldn't tell the difference, honestly. Like, I don't know where those scenes were. So I think they did a pretty good job of blending them in. I was kind of into the movie, so I wasn't like looking for specific scenes if the resolution was different. But I didn't notice it, so I don't think it's a big deal. The image itself is pretty clean. It's not. I wouldn't say this is the best restoration. Again, I think it's because the source material. Like, if they didn't have all the source material, I'm sure the stuff that they did have was probably not in the best shape. because there was clear print damage, when you're watching the film, and they had like those vertical scarring, I guess, like, and that was quite often throughout the running time. It would constantly pop up, and I wouldn't say it's distracting, but it was noticeable, and it's not the cleanest looking film. Restoration that I've seen. It's not one of those ones that you're like, oh, it looks like it could have been filmed last year. It looks like it was an older film because it just has that damage to it, unfortunately. But nothing of it bothered me or distracted me. It was there. You could tell. It's like, okay, I'm watching. This is the best. This is the best that it's probably ever gonna look. I don't think they're gonna, unless they find another 35 mil master or something like that, complete, then maybe. But yeah, like I said earlier, my all my previous viewings of this film were really dark. Couldn't tell the characters apart. Especially like the nighttime scenes, like the second half when all the killing and stuff was happening. I didn't know. I didn't really know what was going on, and this wasn't an issue with this one. The um, just the added brightness, the added clarity, regardless of some of the print damage. Like you could see what was going on. I didn't have that, you know, confusion of characters upon this watch, which is great. So yeah, overall, I'm pleased with the AV because from what I've been used to seeing, um, it's a vast improvement. So yeah, overall, this is good. This is a good package. I definitely recommend it. If you're interested in this film, this is without a doubt the way to check it out. All right, let's move on and wrap this up with some final thoughts. Okay, so Girls' Night Out. I like this film. I do. I've always kind of liked it before. Now with this release, I like it even more. Like I said, this is not your typical 80s slasher. It's more of a hybrid between like a teen comedy and then 80s slasher. But it doesn't. It feels like one film. It just kind of flows naturally from that starting point. From the comedy angle, it flows right into the slasher angle, and it feels organic. It feels like it doesn't feel like jarring. It's just kind of a different type of film. Now, despite the fact that it kind of lacks, honestly, it kind of lacks in kills, and obviously it lacks in nudity. I think it makes up for it with, like a solid setting, a good plot, like nothing elaborate, but it's a solid, easy to follow plot, and an absolutely outstanding conclusion. The ending to this film has always been one that's stuck with me. Even though it honestly, like the whole climax, it's pretty quick and sudden. It's probably only maybe a couple minutes, but those few minutes at the end, it's really effective in its creepiness, and it just has a way of, it's just really satisfying because, like I said, the way that the slowly kind of they slowly told the story throughout the film. It just the payoff for this I found really satisfying. So, yeah, this isn't your typical 80s slasher in many ways, but at the same time, it kind of is, if that makes sense. It's kind of, I don't know, this is kind of a weird one, to be honest. But yeah, definitely an interesting film and worth it just to sit through it and just to see the creepy ending for sure. So that's it. That's that's my thoughts on Girls' Night Out. I'm definitely going to recommend this to people. Just go in knowing that it's a little different from most, but stick around for the ending, and I think you'll be satisfied because it's definitely a good one. All right, everybody, that's it. So yeah, so thanks for sticking around, watching the video, and until next time. All right, see ya.